So let's talk about the CE-3 here. Cool little car. Obviously, it has a yellow cupola, and it's kind of like, what's that all about? Well, a lot of these cars were not set up to run over the road. In other words, they weren't set up for long trips after the CE-3 rebuilds. They were rebuilt for local and yard service. And so the yellow cupola denotes that. It says, hey, don't take me out on the road. I'm a short distance caboose, and I'm only set up to work transfers in yards. So that was one of the really cool things about this class of cars, what they were actually built for. And they were kind of experimental. A lot of these were done locally in Fort Madison or in Kansas City or places like that to kind of a general early standard design. So kind of really cool cars that way. They had started at that point when they were doing the rebuilds, they had started blanking some windows. If you'll notice right here in the middle of the car, there's actually some window openings that had been plated over or blanked, we refer to as. So even though these are double hung cars, double hung window cars, they started getting rid of the windows early. Obviously, the more glass you have in anything, the more glass chances, opportunities you have for that to get broken. And so they started cutting down on the number of windows. Obviously, less windows, less opportunity or less percentage of windows that are going to get broken. So they started that early. The other thing about these windows, they're double hung. The Caboose windows are double hung, which means they're like in your house where you can slide open the window and then there's a screen there. And the same with these. If you look at the window openings in here, they actually have a screen in the lower opening. And that is modeled as well. So we have an upper pane of glass in the double hung, and then the lower hung is screened over to keep obviously insects out, to let some airflow into the car. So that's kind of a really cool thing on the cars. The cars have two types of roof walk. They have the Morton, which is this, and then the Cass. The Cass tends to be a kind of a long slotted etched roof walk design. The Morton had holes in it. So they're a very recognizable one into another because of the different types of roof walks. So quite amazing. The cars by this time had been radio equipped, and several things happened to these cars during the process of installing radio equipment in them. First of all, you have to have antennas. So you're going to put your antenna obviously on the highest part of a car. And so they built a ground plane up here with an antenna on it. And so right in the middle of the cupola, you've got some conduit that runs underneath the ground plane. And we did a beautiful job with this. This is all brass, so it's extremely rugged and extremely durable. And will hold up really well to being handled. The second thing you have to have is you have to have electricity. So when you're out on the road, you're not plugged into anything, obviously. You have to not only store electricity, but you have to generate it. So two things happened with these cars. And the first of those is underneath the car itself, right here, is a belt-driven axle generator. So what you've got is a large Daco generator that has a belt, and basically a pulley and a belt that runs up over the axle, back around, and then down, and has a spring-loaded system, so the spring kept the belt tight against the axle. So obviously the axle, as the car rotated, would spin the generator, and you would generate electricity for the car. And then that was stored in a set of batteries. Batteries obviously gas off, and so you have some hazard there. So the railroad initially built a door right here on the side of the car that's vented. So the batteries were chest height, could be lifted into the car relatively easy, and were vented and kept vented to the outside, not to the inside of the car, and used that way. Underneath the car, obviously, there are tool cellars, and a lot of people call these battery boxes. That's really not correct. This is where they kept a variety of tools, including relays, knuckle mates, and things like that to help you open knuckles or to center couplers. If you had an issue where you've got drawbar bypass in the yard, you could go back, open that door up, and get inside and get to the equipment to help you fix that. The other thing that had happened by the time these cars came around was all of the end decking here on the end had been replaced from wood to grating. In other words, etched grating. And so that was always cast. These are cast grates here. And if I can lift this up, hopefully we can see that a little bit. And you can see the grates on the steps and on the entire end platform at this point. So that's kind of a cool thing on the cars. The cars have two truck types that we're offering. Both of these were used interchangeably within way cars on the system. And so we modeled both of those. And with the upcoming versions of Cabooses, what we'll be doing, we'll be tooling some more roller bearing style trucks with external axle generators, and that will alter the body of the cars even further. So we're going to take the history on down the road from the CE3s. These cars are available right now for pre-order at class1modelworks.com. There's a huge variety of them. There's a bunch of different variety of paint schemes, different numbers. We have this car available with black roofs as well, the CE3s. So this roof and the cupola roof are black, so you've got a really colorful car. Red sides, yellow cupola, black roof, black roof. They're really cool looking. And so they're available now at class1modelworks.com. Go out and get yours today.